He was one of the founders of a violent prison gang, said U.S. District Judge Timothy Burgess, as he sentenced a man by the name of Filthy Führer. Führer had legally changed his name from Timothy Lobdell in tribute to the German dictator and idol of the members of this gang. Führer was a member of the 1488s, a white supremacist prison gang operating out of this maximum security prison in Seward, Alaska. While serving a lengthy prison sentence for the attempted murder of a police officer, Führer ordered that a former member be assaulted and killed. The crime was carried out by members on the outside. 4 others were convicted in the crime. Prosecutors recommended that Führer spend his sentence at Florence Ad Max due to his gang affiliation and violent past. The Bureau of Prisons has placed Führer at USP Florence. He will never be released from prison, but I'm sure he'll try to continue his reign of terror from inside the fences of the federal penitentiary. According to federal prosecutors, the origins of the gang began when Alaskan inmates were housed in out-of-state facilities in Arizona and Colorado. Upon being returned to Alaska, the 1488 gang was formed. While Alaska prisons are by no means the deadliest in the country, Spring Creek Correctional Facility holds some of the most dangerous men in the state. We'll start by looking at the picturesque area surrounding the prison, move on to some notable incidents, and finish by looking at some infamous inmates at this prison. Let's get into it. Located on Resurrection Bay, a fjord of the Gulf of Alaska on the Kenai Peninsula, you will look out your prison cell and gaze upon a snowy Alaskan landscape. This area is the perfect place for nature lovers if you aren't incarcerated, with bald eagles fishing in the nearby waters. Kayaking and exploring the nearby glaciers attract tourists from all over the world. It is in the city of Seward, with a population of 2,717 people. The area experiences more moderate temperatures than much of Alaska due to the influence of the nearby ocean. The main portion of the city is located across the bay from the prison. This is a smaller prison compared to the high population prisons of California and Texas, with a maximum capacity of just 535. The facility sits on 328 acres, and like much of Alaska, black bears roam the perimeter looking for something to snack on. There is one lone guard tower, the tallest in Alaska, overlooking the entire prison. Escape options at this prison are very limited. The facility is surrounded on 3 sides by massive mountains. There is one road in and one road out of this prison. Alaska Route 9 or Seward Highway is the only way out of the area, which will take you to Anchorage. There have been several successful and attempted escapes from this prison. The first successful escape occurred in 1994, 6 years after the prison opened. 2 convicted murderers would escape from the prison. The electronic motion detectors were out of service and inoperable at the time of the escape. The convicts cut the fence and made their way out of the facility without the guard tower noticing, even though they would have been in the guard's direct line of sight. Let's be honest, the officer was likely taking a quick nap. After a short search, the pair were located and returned to the prison. Each were well-known criminals. Byron Parati committed his crime at just 16 years old. He killed his schoolmate and tried to set his body on fire, while Christopher Marcy stabbed a 59-year-old woman 26 times after entering her home. While murders at this facility are rare, there have been several. Before we get to that, make sure you hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to 1,000. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my content. There seems to have been a string of self-inflicted deaths at Spring Creek in 2021 and 2022. Alaska is known to have one of the highest suicide rates in the US, and prison only exacerbates that. In 2014, Elihu Jermaine Gillespie was found unconscious in his cell in the middle of the night from a physical altercation. He would later be pronounced deceased. The cellmate, Jasmine Divine Angelica, a transgender inmate, was suspected in the attack. This wasn't the first attack by Angelica, who had a well-known history of violence. Angelica and Gillespie were both in prison on attempted murder charges. The victim's father said his son didn't do so well with other people. There was another murder of a more infamous Alaska inmate in 2008. John Carlin was convicted in 2007 of conspiring with an ex-stripper to kill her fiancé for insurance money. The murder had occurred in 1996, but it took prosecutors 10 years to build a case, and thanks to new technological advancements, Carlin's emails were able to be read, with damning evidence revealed. Carlin would die of blunt force trauma inside Spring Creek. It was reported that Carlin changed the channel on the TV while a group of Native Alaskans were watching, sparking an altercation. Controversy would erupt due to state investigators failing to make an arrest for nearly 3 years. In a twist of fate, the co-defendant and ex-stripper, Michelle Linehan, would have her conviction overturned in 2012. Carlin also had his conviction overturned in 2015, far too late for it to matter to him. In 2018 and 2019, brief riots would erupt at the facility. A gang fight in the prison yard in 2018 would result in officers deploying OC spray. Once deployed, inmates complied. 5 were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. In 2019, the largest riot in facility history would pop off. At 9 p.m. on May 7th, 62 inmates would barricade themselves inside their housing unit using furniture. Inmates reported that they were protesting prison policy, although what exact policy was unknown. While barricaded inside, over $100,000 worth of damage was done. Special operation teams would fire tear gas inside the unit, causing the offenders to surrender without any serious injuries occurring. It wouldn't be a prison in America if the ACLU hadn't filed a lawsuit against it. In March 2023, the ACLU filed a suit due to the involuntary medication policy. The plaintiff, Mark Andrews, is serving a 99-year sentence for first-degree murder. The lawsuit alleges that he was held down, he was handcuffed, and over again, DOC forcibly injected him with psychotropic medication that can have long-lasting detrimental side effects. All of this was done without the protection of his fundamental right to due process. DOC claims that Andrews suffers from severe mental illness, which requires medication to prevent self-harm behaviors. What about infamous inmates here? There have been several serial killers to have served their time at this facility. The butcher baker of Alaska, Robert Hansen, spent most of his time incarcerated at Spring Creek. He was suspected in killing up to 37 women and was sentenced to 461 years in prison. He would die in 2014 at a hospital in Anchorage. Another serial killer, Joshua Wade, was sentenced to life in prison for 2 murders. He was transferred to Spring Creek to serve his time. Wade did not enjoy his time at Spring Creek because he would contact federal authorities to confess to additional murders in exchange for being transferred to a federal facility. This was a profile of Alaska's Spring Creek Correctional Facility, one which is surrounded by danger inside and out. Thanks for watching. As always, see you next time.